Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mace, coming to you from Canada, and these videos definitely make me envious of the infrastructure, the cycling infrastructure, and just public transportation in general in the Netherlands. This video is looking at specifically cycling around Dutch bus stop. Here, well, at least in my particular town, like you wouldn't even have a bike lane or to begin with. So it's essentially just biking along the road. And, we do have some bike corridors and bike lanes, but even those ones don't feel super safe. And I think what the Dutch and other European models can excel at is having that separation of fast moving car traffic and making people feel safe and protected and just able to go about their days in a casual way and not feel like they're going to get struck by a vehicle. Let's get to it. Cycling around a Dutch bus stop.
There is a huge and dangerous difference in mass and speed between a bus and someone on a bicycle.
Yeah,
that is why the Dutch separate these types of traffic as much as possible. And this is a very old tradition that started at the bus stop. This picture from 1953 shows a bus stop with a cycle track around it in Utrecht. 60 years ago, the Dutch already separated people cycling from the buses at the bus stop. Other pictures from that time show how people cycle through this bus stop bypass. It was not much, but there was enough room for bus passengers to board the bus without interfering with the...
Damn, 60 years ago, already had that going, and cycling was already... Darn.
People cycling around them. The bypass was 2 buses long and swerved in a wide curve, so reducing speed while cycling was not necessary. The bypass connected to a cycle lane, and from this it is only a small step to a completely separated cycle path. And that is exactly what we find on this place today. The bus stop has moved...
Is it the same spot? 60 years later? Cool. That's super cool. And, the 60 years ago one, you could debate, like, hey, if you didn't see the aged style of vehicles, you might say, hey, this is the modern photo.
And that is exactly what we find on this place today.
There's no
bus stop has moved away from here, but the cycle track stayed. This 1969 picture shows that at that time this system was not used everywhere, but even that place does have a cycle track around the bus stop today. Cycling around this bus stop is possible without any interference with the people waiting for the bus.
Little squeaky.
Because the system has been in use for over half a century, all passengers are very used to it. They know they have to cross the cycle path after leaving the bus, and they do so with care. Only after this woman has reached the safety of the sidewalk, she checks her belongings and is on her way. Most of the modern bus stops have a waiting island of at least 2 meters wide. The crosswalk across the cycle path is marked with tactile tiles for the visually impaired, and the curbs are lowered for people in mobility scooters or with strollers. When a bus arrives, there is no interaction at all between people cycling and that bus. Motor traffic has to stay behind the bus. There's no room for overtaking, and once the cycle path is clear, the pedestrians carefully cross it.
So yeah, it works really, really well, this type of system. And obviously, like urban areas, it's easier to have good cycling infrastructure. And there is better cycling infrastructure in some of our bigger cities, like, say, Vancouver, Toronto. But even then, it's really not that, it's not good. You're essentially like a car, except you're on a bike. So it's like, and there's so many distracted drivers nowadays, it's just kind of sketchy. in my particular city that I'm living now, though, it's pretty small town and it's very, very hilly. Like there's hills, like no matter where you go. So it would certainly make commuting a little tough. And I do ride my bike to work sometimes. But as the weather gets warmer, like I'll be sweating. I'll be sweating because I got to go up a number of hills to get to work. It's only about 5 or 6 kilometers away, but there's multiple like large hills, and I can go a longer distance to avoid the hills, which maybe I'll do that today. But yeah, it's just I don't know if we could get cycling to be more popular. I think with e-bike technology, it's definitely possible.
Even in winter conditions, this system works perfectly. The view from the saddle shows it is very easy to pass the bus and the passengers that just left it. When there isn't much space, the waiting island can be a lot narrower, but even that works very well. You see these narrow waiting islands in narrower high streets as well. The few tiles wide area prevents that passengers step into the cycle path right away, and that is precisely enough to make the bus stops safe for all. At very busy stops, we see a barrier between the cycle track and the bus stop. This prevents larger groups of people stepping into the cycle track without realizing it. So this is the standard Dutch solution for a bus stop.
It's great. It's smart. I find this type of infrastructure planning quite interesting. And seeing it in motion is also pretty cool. Seeing it in practice and how simple it works, and how if you give the people the tools, like they just will naturally, like the woman at the beginning when she got off the bus, like she naturally knows, okay, this is a psychopath. Let me carry my stuff across the psychopath and I can set them down and take a sec. So I'm not blocking the psychopath. Right? I saw somebody make a comment like, hey, every time you hear psychopath, does it sound like they're saying psychopath? And now that I just heard it myself, I agree. It does kind of sound like that. That's funny.
Around it. A waiting island that is preferably at least 2 meters wide, with a safe and clear crossing, also for people with disabilities. If possible, there is a place to park your bicycle, an indication of the waiting times, and a shelter for the waiting passengers. A perfect and safe place for the bus to stop. At least, if it had to stop.
Good stuff. Really, really cool. Like I said, makes me envious. I think I'm going to ride my bike to work today, though. It's pretty nice out. I'll give it a go. And yeah, I haven't been wearing a helmet, and people will be like, whoa, you're not wearing a helmet. I'm like, if I get hit by a car, a helmet's not going to save me, like, honestly. So anyways, we'll see you on the next one. Be good.